Now, on to the story that has been dominating the headlines, certainly this morning. Greg Wallace has spoken out about the allegations of inappropriate sexual comments and behaviour against him. In a post on Instagram, he said that they have come from a handful of middle-class women of a certain age. Reacting to that comment in a tweet, Kirsty Allsop has stated, women often feel like they don't want to rock the boat and think that it's better just to plough on with the day and ignore what's being said. So have you ever felt like you've had to sort of put up and shut up? I think the word banter has become confused in many ways as well, and you know, it can be seen for what it is. People can also use it as something to cover what they I didn't mean it was only banter. But is it a case of everyone collectively just being a bit more conscious that maybe your sense of humour isn't matching the audience and the room that you're in?
Yeah, the banter thing came, like Love Island, it came with that. Banter. And I think it's those young people just found a word for what has been going on for a very long time, in my opinion, where, you know, we've spoken on here of, would you be offended if you walk past a building site and a man whistles at you? Back in the day, I don't think a lot of people would have been offended, but now...
Oh, we would have loved it back in the day,
well,
wouldn't we?
Anytime. But I think now, because, you know, there's more implications that can happen and more things that come into pass, that it's now frowned upon. But, I mean, for myself personally, don't know if it's obvious, but I'm not somebody who's going to put up with or shut up.
No, it's obvious, Brenda. It's definitely obvious.
Linda, you just come back. So, you know, if I have had anything like that happen to me or anything untoward, I am the sort of person that will say, we'll question it or we'll go and report it. That's just me. And I've always been that way because I've been taught to be that way and stand up for myself. So,
But then, of course, there's lots of people that aren't that way. And, you know, you don't feel like you have the voice to speak back or to banter back, and you sort of take that away with you. And then that can be very harmful if someone's in that position when they feel they don't have a voice.
Well, that did happen to me once, and I've been in show business 56 years. I was 10 years old when I started, and I did a series with a man that I'd worked with for probably about 10 years in all 2 different shows that I did with him. And we were filming on a boat one night, and Paul went to bed, and then this man made a leap at me, and I went, "What do you think you're doing?" He went, "Oh, I'm sorry, I don't know what come over me." I went, "I know what's going to come over you. Have you try and do that again?" So... Daytime. I didn't say anything. It was a silent one.
But yeah, you're right. You felt like you could respond. I think, isn't that?
I handled it really well, I think.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Greg.
I know you to take me with me when I'm out.
Absolutely. Greg Wallace did say that he'd been doing MasterChef for 20 years, amateur, celebrity, professional MasterChef, and I think in that time I have worked with over 4,000 contestants of all different ages, all different backgrounds, all walks of life. I can see the complaints coming from a handful of middle-class women of a certain age, just from Celebrity MasterChef. This isn't right. Greg's lawyers obviously have said it's entirely false that he engages in a behaviour of a sexual harassing nature. It just seems to be at the minute we're hearing more and more stories, isn't it? You know, there's the whole Harrods debacle right now. There's lots of allegations out there. Do you think maybe as you get older, I certainly feel, you find your voice as you get a bit older too. You care maybe a bit less as well. Definitely. So this is maybe why a lot of these women are now feeling, I'm just going to say it.
I think as well, you've got to think in all areas, not just media, all kind of workplace environments, that if you think about women who's been in those workplace environments, maybe they've been in there for like 30, 40 years, their experience to what our experience would be so much more worse. We've got certain things like HR, we can speak to, you know, we talk about mental health. Back then, it was definitely more of a culture on put up and shut up with. So I think if you're from that generation and now you're coming towards a certain age, where it's like 60s or so, you probably feel more empowered to speak out because you probably feel like you've got less to lose. I think that we're at a stage now where we're going to really have to understand individuals' boundaries, you know, because some people genuinely might have banter or say something and they've come from a kind of environment where that was acceptable and not knowing between the lines, where somebody else might find it quite offensive. I think for me personally, I'm a comedian, so I live in the world of so-called banter. People feel like they can say what they want to me, but never do what they want to me, because I think that I've got quite a strong personality. Not that anyone who doesn't come forward hasn't got a strong personality, but I think I use my comedy in certain ways to help me navigate situations because my comedy comes from adversity. But at the same time, I know that I'm someone that is certain stereotypes could be on me if I do speak out in certain ways. You know, I think as a woman, coming from a working class background, being a black woman, I'm very conscious that if I was to go forward or say, I'm not happy with that, I don't agree with how you treated me, it can be taken as quite aggressive. So I always think about how I approach situations, but I think it doesn't matter what background you are, what age you are, there is always spaces for you to come forward and speak your truth and what you feel you are not happy with or if boundaries have been crossed. But it's time for us to have a real honest conversation and allow people to learn from their mistakes and allow people to have the space to talk about what's happened to them.
And just culturally, I guess, like you say, but everyone has to be on board with that to work, don't they? And it's interesting you talk about comedy because you hear a lot of comics saying how they've had to really adapt what they have naturally done for years. And we know that comedy throughout the... Look at the Carry On movies.
Yeah.
You know, all that just wouldn't... They wouldn't happen anymore.
It's a whole culture of learning again, you know, and we've all got a responsibility to it and you know, but come to my shows because I still tell you what I want to say because it's my platform, but still, you know, we're all learning and that's how we move on progressively together.
Yeah, absolutely.